Live from high atop Monroe Center in downtown Grand Rapids, we're talking about what matters most to you in West Michigan. Join the conversation now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on Wood Radio.
Hey, welcome in. Wow, what a gorgeous day. A little hazy because of those wildfires out west, but up to 75 today. The sun is shining, and we'll take it. Beautiful day in West Michigan. More on that coming up, by the way. We'll get to that, plus a Tech Talk Tuesday, powered by Affordable Eye Store. We'll talk with our good friends, Trent Knibbie, Jeff Barrett, and talk about some big events happening. Apple, their big event today, their fall event. They're going to be announcing some major things. I don't know if the new iPhone's in there. I know the Apple Watch is. We'll talk about what is expected, all coming up in just a little bit at 9:35. Plus, we're going to talk with a group that has gathered 400,000 signatures now to unlock Michigan, to do away with that 1945 act that would limit now the governor's powers here when it comes to the shutdowns and the things that we've seen in Michigan. By the way, there's big news on a lot of fronts with that. Coming up in just about 10 minutes, or well, at this point, 5 minutes, somewhere in there. Garrett Soldano. First, this
news, weather, and traffic.
It's our big three.
The biggest stories of the day. We're talking about what matters most in West Michigan and beyond. This is the Big Three. Now, today's Big Three.
Our Big Three powered by the Good Feet Store. Don't just live with foot pain. Do what I did. Visit the Good Feet Store and see if they can help you as much as they've helped me. Walk in and see for yourself. 28th Street there by Target, or learn more at goodfeet.com. Call 616-200-6079 for more info.
Number one.
A Good Feet Store. Big 10, or B1G as they call it now, could be back, but not Michigan and Michigan State. I wonder why. Does the governor have anything to say about that? News is big, and we could be hearing more even today.
Number two.
Muskegon Heights homicide suspect behind bars this morning after learning authorities leading them on a high-speed chase into Kent County is shooting at officers, leaving one victim dead and one in the ICU. None of the officers shot were actually injured in the incident. Thank God. The prayers for those folks and the families. As we continue to see violence uptick here in West Michigan, something's got to be done. And I don't know that the gun buyback program from the GRPD is really going to get it done. I salute all the efforts that we're going to make, but I think we just need more police. We need more folks on the street. We need to hire more officers, and we need really funding for the police. That goes in the opposite of the defund the police move. We got to be strong, because what we're seeing out there, maybe due to some of the economic issues with the shutdowns, the coronavirus, and our governor, an issue.
Number three.
Big news today, and it's good news. Two Gulf nations recognizing Israel at the White House today. President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu joining foreign ministers of the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain today. The White House marking those normalization agreements between Israel and two Arab countries. Breakdown of it all coming up at woodradio.com. You can check it out there as well. But that's big news, good news, and we'll see how much we actually see of that on the news. CNN, MSNBC, the networks, etc. This is something the president's actually been nominated twice for in the last week for Nobel Peace Prize. Pretty big stuff. Pretty interesting, and of course, we'll continue to follow it all right here on Wood Radio. Something we should know, Hurricane Sally now a Category 1, bearing down on the Gulf course, could strengthen before it makes landfall, but we'll continue to keep you updated on that. Garrett Soldano joins us right now. He's with Stand Up Michigan and Unlock Michigan, and their big effort, as we see 400,000 signatures been gathered so far. This is big, and Garrett, a huge milestone for you all. How many signatures did you need to repeal this act?
So we needed around 341,063, but we wanted to make sure that we went over, because we know they're going to drag their feet. We know they're going to nitpick signatures. So we wanted to make sure that we got around 30% over. So our big goal is 500,000. And we, the people, Justin, have done that in 2 months. Could you only imagine if we had another 5 to 6 months with the momentum that we have right now and how many more signatures that we could get? It's amazing when you get a group of people together with a like-minded objective and a goal, what can happen.
Yeah, I know you're keeping an eye on all this. Garrett Soldano joins us right now with Stand Up Michigan, Unlock Michigan, the group that is circulating that petition. So what happens? Let's say you get the signatures. They're verified. What happens next in this process?
So we have to make sure that the Secretary of State does not drag their feet. Again, the reason why we're getting 500,000. If we would have came in around 350,000, it would have been close. So we're making sure that we're well over that, and we're going to get it done. We're probably going to get it done within the next week. We're probably going to be over 500,000. The next phase is to go in front of the Secretary of State. They're going to take a pool of signatures, confirm them, and then it goes in front of the legislature, and they vote. And we have heard that they are going to vote to repeal that 1945 law because they've been handcuffed ever since April 9th.
Okay, so they do vote. Now, let's say they have voted and they agree. Does this thing have to go to the governor's desk, or does it bypass all that?
It bypasses everything. This one is very special. There is no veto, Justin. So it's done. Her and any future governor, and that's why we've always stated that this is a bipartisan movement. This is a bipartisan citizens petition because no governor should ever have this much unilateral power. Look what just happened in Pennsylvania. The federal judge ruled in favor of the people that regardless of a pandemic, people's constitutional rights, their freedoms, their citizens' rights, their sacred values should never be infringed upon. And Michigan is one of those states that continues to get those stripped away.
Yeah, you just brought up the case. A federal judge there in Pennsylvania made it pretty clear that what the governor there in Pennsylvania had done had gone too far. How does that play into what's happening here in Michigan, and does that give you any hope there, Garrett?
We always need hope, Justin, especially over the past several months. We have not gotten any hope from this governor. So we're hoping that the Supreme Court rules in favor of the legislature, and then every executive order, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm thinking every executive order from the end of April is rescinded. It's done. We're open.
I got to ask you about masks. Right now, we see a big effort to, as we had Michigan State Senator Lana Tice on yesterday, who said that she's getting folks together to sign a letter that she's going to send to the governor to ask her. We had the governor was on West Michigan's Morning News earlier today, didn't really give any indication that she was really likely to lean towards withdrawing those restrictions. I noticed on Sunday when the Lions played at Ford Field that they weren't wearing masks. Why would a governor who says that she supports the little guy, why would a governor allow multimillionaires not to wear masks while playing the same game that kids are now playing and make the kids wear the mask? If there really is science and data involved in this process, wouldn't the multimillionaires play by the same rules as the kids that she's forcing to play?
You took those words right out of my mouth, Justin, and you're exactly right. To mandate mask, all right, in youth athletics while they're exerting energy and exercising is probably one of the most unhealthy things that you can do to the human body. If God wanted us to have some type of covering over our mouth when we would exercise, he would have built us that way. But you hit it. Why aren't the professional athletes masking up? And we're requiring sports of, I think, football, soccer, and volleyball to mask up. And we're not requiring the referees to mask up. So we are making these kids wear these unhealthy things, running around, not getting enough oxygen. I mean, what is it going to take for society to start to realize how wrong this is? Are we unfortunately going to have a child keel over? Because we're already hearing stories on medics being called to fields, on football fields, because athletes are passing out on the practice field.
Your day job, you're uniquely qualified to talk about health. So I guess we should mention that, specifically health issues with this.
Yes, I'm a chiropractor by trade. And one day I'd like to get back to doing that full time instead of fighting tyranny.
Yeah, I can imagine. Garrett Soldano with us in talking about Stand Up Michigan and Unlock Michigan. The petition now over 400,000. They expect 500,000 by next week. And the timeline of this process remains to be seen, but it could happen quickly with what we've seen happen in Pennsylvania. It could just happen in an instant, as we've seen now, but that governor is going to appeal that federal judge's rule. Or it could be a long, drawn-out process. As you mentioned, you talk about hope. But there's an interesting new campaign, $5 million in ads the governor has launched, along with the state, asking people to wear masks. I didn't know that people weren't wearing masks. Maybe they aren't. Maybe some people aren't. I don't know. But it seems like we've had pretty decent numbers here lately. I don't see the hospitals certainly aren't overflowing. The emergency rooms aren't overrun. But there's a new ad out, and part of the money, I'm sure you'll probably be hearing this on Wood Radio as well. This one's called Freedom. And you know what? I'll just play you a little piece of this so you can hear some of what they're going to be promoting. It's one of the things I noticed in the conversation with the man who was interviewed. He's the director of the State Department of Health and Human Services. He actually has a pass of the Obama administration, and he's not necessarily a health professional, which is interesting that he's running that, and more of a bureaucrat. But he seems to say that this is about this particular commercial about convincing people that the coronavirus, the pandemic itself, is responsible for the lockdowns and the shutdowns here in the state, and not the governor, which I think is interesting. So now the state, if you think about this, again, your money, your tax dollars are being used in this effort to use propaganda here in the state. Here's part of the Freedom commercial.
That freedom is important.
This pandemic has tried to take away our freedom to live, to play, to work, and follow the American dream.
We know now that wearing a mask can reduce the chance of spreading COVID by 70%.
So, to regain my freedom,
and to protect yours,
I choose.
I choose.
I choose to wear a mask.
Exercise your right to do what's right.
For your community and country. Spread hope, not COVID.
All right, Garrett Soldano, I got to ask you, what do you make of that? Specifically, the part that the pandemic is the threat to our freedoms.
I just want to point out just what I heard. I just had to write it down real quick. Exercise your right to do what's right.
Yeah.
Where does that have to say anything when she mandates these things?
Hang on one second. Let me make sure I got this. There you go ahead.
So exercise your right to do what's right. Right. Yeah. So that is a voluntarily thing. Say, I'm not against the mask. I have it. If you want to wear the mask and you feel safer, that's fine. I've done the research for myself. I'm not going to wear one. I don't have any underlying medical conditions. So I feel pretty confident that if I'm exposed to this and other viruses and bacteria, that my body will fight it. That's just my confidence within myself. I take care of myself. We should talk about more of the immune system. I'll strengthen our bodies to prepare our bodies, because it's not a matter of if you get this, it's when. It's going to go through society. And for them to say that they're always following the science and the data, it wasn't because of COVID that we're locking it down, because there's many states that decided not to lock down. And there's many countries now that are coming out that had no 6-foot distancing, that had no mask, and they are doing fantastic. They are doing just as well, if not better, than the state of Michigan. In the state of Michigan, if you look at the deaths per 1 million, I haven't checked the data over the last several days, but we were, I think, number 8 or number 9 in the country, deaths per 1 million. That allows us to know that there's a lot of people down in the lockdowns and the quarantine and wearing the mask. Is that really helping? And if they did, why weren't we masking up when this was really taking its toll on our society? Why weren't we doing it at the end of April and May? Well, I understand that we weren't trying to overwhelm the medical system. We wanted to have enough PPE. But why just the change in the narrative? Because we've been told ever since the beginning, Justin, we were trying to flatten the curve, and we did that over the 2 weeks, which she refused to release the hospital data. And we continue to hear about hospitals that were closing, hospitals that were laying off. So we didn't overwhelm the medical system. We flattened the curve so much that the hospitals were closing. Then it went into cases and deaths. And now people are living, and not a lot of people are dying from this. So now it's just cases, and they're trying to test everybody and their mother, and the deaths are very, very low. The pandemic is over according to the data. So why are we continually forcing this narrative when it doesn't make any sense? We as Americans, we as Michiganders just want common sense solutions moving forward. We're done with the fear mongering. We're done. The data shows that this is done. Now, there may be a second wave, I don't know, but according to the data right now, there is no threat of an emergency. And so all these things, and just like you said before, we're going to mask up the little ones. We're going to mask up our high school athletes in volleyball, football, and soccer, but not the professional athletes, not the referees. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, especially
like Michigan in the effort to get those petitions signed to repeal that 1945 Act. 400,000 signatures so far. They've met that goal. They'd like to get another 100,000. They think they might get that done by next week. I'll just leave it with this, Garrett, and we'll wrap this up. The fact that we're in a state of emergency. I understand you got to declare a state of emergency. It allows you to get funding and things like that to help in the process of getting things back on track. I understand that portion. But if you just look up that word emergency and talk about what it means something that is happening that's emergent, something that is happening immediately, and we need time to respond, or we need some extra time or extra resources to respond to it. Declaring a state of emergency would mean that things are happening so quickly, so fast, that we can't come together with the legislature to work together on common sense and reasonable responses. We're far past that. We've been in this for months now, and we're at a point that we all should be working together. I'm disappointed that the governor's not working with our legislature, and I'd like to see the legislature, again, work with the governor here. I think we're past this point of emergency, and we are, you got to decide, when does the emergency end? Do you continue to have emergency into perpetuity?
You're exactly
Question
right.
I think we all need to ask. Garrett?
You're exactly right, Justin. Here's the thing. People, we hear a lot of the lies from the other side that this is going to take every governor, and they email this stuff out to basically lie to the people and say, we're taking away the governor's emergency powers. No, we're not. She's still going to have that 1976 law to declare a state of emergency for 28 days. But she can't continually to extend it without working with the legislature, how our state and how our country is founded. And so that's what we're trying to take, is just after that 28 days, say, hey, let's start working together with the elected officials who we, the people, elected, and not have a unilateral governor making these decisions, especially when they don't make any sense. Throughout all this process, none of the decision making has made any sense. And more people are starting to wake up. I don't know if you saw this, Justin, but just yesterday I'm hearing that fraternity and sorority houses in East Lansing are ordered to quarantine now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, now they're stating that these kids have to stay inside and they have to cooperate fully with all questions by the health department and allow the health department staff or designees on their premises for random checks for compliance. Is this Germany that we're living in?
I hope they get a kick out of this just in time to vote in November, and maybe that'll inform some of the decisions they make. Garrett Soldano, Unlock Michigan, Stand Up Michigan, thanks for being here with us today. If people want to sign your petition, where do they go do that? We'll make sure that they get the links up online.
There are, man, it's like McDonald's. We're on every corner. So if you want to find a location, you can email info@unlockmichigan.com, and they will let you know where the petitions. But we are holding a rally this Saturday, Justin, at the Deltaplex in Grand Rapids at 9:30. We are doing a caravan. I'm going to be speaking around 10:45. We're going to sing God Bless America, the national anthem. I'm going to go and fire everybody up, and we are going to do a Trump caravan all through Grand Rapids, and we're going to show the country how a peaceful protest is done.
There you have it. Garrett Soldano, thanks so much for being here with us today. We appreciate you taking the time.
God bless you, sir. Have a great day.
Thank you, man. You too. Our Tech Talk Tuesday coming up. We fire things up at about 9:35 here on West Michigan Live. Big news in tech. We'll get to it all